everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Colleen. I write sci-fi and fantasy stories. Today I want to talk to you about something that I've been thinking a lot about when I'm writing, and that is writing science fiction without having any sort of technical background. I didn't go into this genre thinking that I have like all the knowledge I need to write this correctly. I didn't grow up taking apart computers or studying robotics, and I'm not super into the hard science of things. And I used to feel weird about that because I felt like I was faking it. But over time, I realized you don't actually need any sort of technical background to write science fiction that works. Science fiction that feels real or that hits emotionally. And if you're someone who's been wanting to write sci fi but feel like you're not qualified, this video is for you. I want to show you how I approach it, how I build around what I do know, and why it's still valid even though I can't explain how things work or how the science side of things work. There's this assumption that sci-fi has to be tech heavy. You have to know how things work, how AIs are programmed, what powers the ship, how it powers the ship, how body mods affect the nervous system. And that's the sort of sci-fi that I am familiar with because that's the sort of sci-fi I've read, that I've watched, and that is a valid kind of sci-fi. It's the hard sci-fi which is leaning more towards realism, but it's not the only kind. There's the soft sci-fi, which is more interested or leaning more towards people, emotions, systems, society, what technology means rather than how it works. In my current project, I'm writing about Ro, an android who wakes up in a junkyard with a missing power core. But I don't know how a power core works, or I don't know how the android's parts work. I don't describe the tech because I don't know. I just know what it feels like to be half functional, to not know why you're still running. And that's the version of sci-fi that I am drawn to, the one where tech is background, and the emotional stakes are what is important. It usually starts with a feeling rather than with the tech. With Ro, I imagine it in a junkyard trying to find a power source with its failing backup system. I didn't start out thinking or the Android is running on this kind of core or it has this kind of component. But it started with there's an Android, it's not human, but they want to be. So when I write sci-fi, I'm not trying to design like a believable future. I'm not trying to make tech that could exist in the future. I mean, they probably could. I don't know. But I'm not trying to design something that, that is kind of like a blueprint for future technologies. Rather, I ask questions like, what does it mean to want more than what you were built for? What happens when a machine is afraid of shutting down? What if memories could be edited or replaced, and what would that do to someone? So the tech kind of gives me a container to ask those kinds of questions, but it's the people, the androids inside the story which are the important parts of it. How do I actually make it feel real without knowing the science? The short answer is that I make things up. I first name things vaguely, but consistently. So I don't name the text specifically. I just mention like that it's a supplementary power or it's a power core. I don't describe what the supplementary power is, but I mentioned that it's fragile or that it's temporary. I describe how it affects the android, so the body glitches, the vision cuts in and out. I treat it more like a physical symptom rather than something that's technical. I write the tech as part of daily life. I treat it like that, or it's something that the characters are familiar with. So I don't go into details when I'm mentioning the tech. So I treat it more like how people talk about phones or cars with like half understanding slang. I don't create a blueprint for readers because it's not what they need. What they need is the reaction of the characters. I Google just enough. Sometimes I'll hit a point where I need a name for something or a basic function, so I'll do a short Google search. For example, like prosthetics are prevalent in the story, so I would Google stuff like how do prosthetic limbs connect to nerves, but I stop once I know like a few details. I don't go into it any deeper because I don't want to fall into the rabbit hole of research. Because it's hard to get out of that once you're in because you want more information and you're building this encyclopedia of things about your world and it becomes a reason not to write. I also lean into metaphor. I treat tech like it's metaphorical. Most sci-fi writers do that anyway. So instead of Ro worrying about its power depleting, it's more about its grief and not having enough left to go on, about burnout. And when I write it like that, the scene becomes more about the emotion rather than the logistics, which is what I care about most. When I started this story, I was worried people would see right through the tech, that it wouldn't feel real, that someone would read it and say that that's not how, processors work or how they degrade or whatever. I honestly, I haven't had anyone read this work yet. I am not it's so like my draft is like it's a really, really, really rough draft that I don't want anyone to read it yet. I might once I finish it, I might just go over it once and see what I can add more to or edit and then have someone read it over because it's more like a list of ideas, like a chronological ideas. So it's really rough, so I haven't had anyone read it yet, so I don't really know what they think about the tech, but what I want them to point out is not the tech but the emotion, the reactions, I guess, of the character regarding the tech that is present in the story. I think something that we forget is that sci-fi is often about future, but it's written by people now, which means that the fears, the hope, the trauma, it's all rooted in the present. I'm writing characters who are afraid of becoming obsolete, who are hunted by memories, who are trying to escape the role that they were given. I don't need to explain the tech perfectly. I just need to make those feelings true. If you're someone who doesn't have a tech background but you're writing sci-fi or want to write sci-fi, I just want to say that it's valid. Your version of sci-fi might not have blueprints or ship layouts. It might have yearning, loneliness, family, connections, relationships. That's still sci-fi. You don't need to write the science side of things correctly. Just need to write honestly and build your world around that. I think that people without, or writers writing sci-fi without the tech background has a very unique take. It's not about mirroring what's already existing, but imagining something different. So if you've been waiting for permission to write your sci-fi idea, I guess this is kind of a permission a permission to write it. You don't need to know how androids work to write about, androids finding relationships, creating connections, or breaking down, falling apart, or trying to be more than what they were built for. I don't know how any of it works, but I'm still writing it. Hopefully people connect with it, not because it's technically accurate, but because it feels emotionally real. Whatever you're trying to write, if it's rooted in something you care about and you can follow through with honestly, that is enough. Thank you for spending time with me today. If you're working on a science project and you don't have a tech background, I'd love to hear how you approach it. Or if you're stuck, drop a comment, maybe we can figure it out together. And if you like this kind of video, feel free to subscribe or hang out in the corner. Either way, I'm glad you're here. And I will see you next time on my next video.